For just 2 years, there was a temporary haunted house attraction that opened every October. People informally referred to it as Haunted Hill House because of a cheap-looking sign, probably bought from a party store, placed near the parking area. The parking lot wasn't really a proper lot. It was just a grassy area designated for cars. That year was its final season, and it was also the year my friends and I decided to check it out. I went with Matt, Michael, and Eddie. We chose a Thursday night since we were in college and had no classes on Fridays, which meant it would be less crowded compared to the weekend. Surprisingly, there was no line at the ticket booth, and when we followed the path to the entrance, we found only a short line of about 4 people ahead of us. What we didn't realize at first was that they were letting people in one at a time. We had no idea this was part of the experience, but it definitely made the whole thing scarier. We made Michael go first, and I was second to last, right before Eddie. Every few minutes, they allowed the next person to enter. When Matt went in before me, I started feeling nervous. I hadn't been to a haunted house since I was a kid, and back then, I was with my family. When it was finally my turn, a woman in a bloody costume opened the door and motioned for me to step inside. The door closed behind me, leaving me in a dark space illuminated by flickering lights. As I moved through, I encountered gruesome props, including mutilated bodies and other horrifying scenes. Actors in creepy costumes would jump out from corners or hidden spaces, and they scared me every single time. At one point, I was walking through a dark hallway between 2 rooms when I felt something brush against me from behind. I let out a quick scream and turned around, spotting a tall figure in the dim light. At first, I laughed, thinking it was just part of the act. But then the actor began pushing me down the hallway. I went along with it, assuming it was part of the experience. After some time, the person stopped, and I heard a door close behind me. It became eerily silent. I still thought this was part of the attraction, but I was scared because the room was pitch black. Suddenly, I felt hands grabbing me in a way that didn't seem appropriate for an actor. I shoved the person off and shouted, "Get off me, dude!" I stood there in silence, growing more uneasy. "You're going too far, man. You can't touch people like that," I said, still assuming it was part of the haunted house. But as more time passed without anything happening, I knew something was wrong. I broke the rule about not using phones and turned on my flashlight. I found myself in a storage room filled with props and cleaning equipment, but what immediately caught my eye was the tall man standing just a few feet away. He wasn't in costume. He wore all black with a face mask covering part of his face. As I looked for the door, I asked, "What are you doing?" He didn't reply, instead making strange arm motions like he was trying to stay in character. I quickly found the door, left the room, and used my flashlight to navigate back the way I came. When I encountered the next actor, they yelled at me to turn off the light. I told them I'd been assaulted by someone and needed to leave. The actor, who seemed to be just a teenager, broke character and told me to keep walking. It wasn't far to the exit. I sped through the rest of the attraction and eventually made it out, where I found my friends waiting. They were confused about why I came out last, so I told them what happened. We went to the ticket booth, where I demanded to speak with the manager. The worker said the manager wasn't there that night, but would be back the next day. I told her what happened, and she promised to inform the team. She also refunded my $30. The next day, a girl from our college posted on Facebook that she had been sexually assaulted at the same haunted house the night before, the same night we were there. Her experience sounded eerily similar to mine, though her assailant had been much more aggressive. She pressed charges against the owner of the attraction, likely for negligence. The staff insisted the man who assaulted us wasn't one of their employees, which I believe, but I couldn't understand how they didn't have better security to prevent something like this. That was the first and last time I ever went to a haunted house. Every year, a big haunted house opens in my area in Fort Worth, Texas. But after that experience, I never feel tempted to go back.